Okay, good evening. It is Tuesday, June 6th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Tom Chiappa.
Here.
Pamela Dowd. Here. Jim McKenzie.
Here.
Sean Onmacht.
Here.
Dave Crisafulli.
Here.
Maura Dempsey.
Here.
Okay, let's please rise for the pledge. Okay, so for floor to the public, the Board of Education welcomes public comment at this portion of the meeting using the following guidelines. Speakers are permitted 3 minutes for their comments. All comments must be directed to the board president. The board will listen to comments and input, but will not necessarily debate or discuss items. Operational matters will be directed to the school administration for handling. The board is not permitted to address personnel or individual student matters in open session. The board will limit repetitive comments, which is moot tonight. The board president has the authority to end a speaker's comments or close public comment as appropriate. Any additional written correspondence or letters may be directed to the board clerk for distribution to the board. We expect proper decorum, and please state your full name and address. Sean?
Good evening. Sean Callan, 3239 State Route 48 in Oswego, New York. I'll probably follow this up with an email to everyone, but I wanted to invite Board of Education members and the Oswego City School District administrators. On behalf of the Buck Boosters, I'm excited to send you this invite to the 2023 End-of-Year Athletic Awards Ceremony to be held Thursday, June 15th at the OHS Stadium. The Buck Boosters are looking forward to a great ceremony that will highlight the accomplishments of everything that the Oswego City School District Athletics Program offers our students and sharing it with our Oswego community. Gates will open at 6 o'clock with a signing event for our student athletes that will be playing D1 to D3 sports at the college level, followed with the athletic ceremony at 7 p.m. We will be honoring our senior athletes for all their hard work and dedication to our athletic programs here in Oswego. At this ceremony, similar to those in the past, each athlete will be recognized for their achievements while participating at the varsity level. During the event, we will also be handing out 4 Buck Booster scholarships and various sport-specific scholarships as well. Other recognition by the Buck Boosters include Female and Male Athletes of the Year, Coach of the Year, Fan of the Year, and the Michelle Wink Pick People Up Award. Senior athletes will be in the spotlight on this night, but we are also asking all student athletes from OMS and OHS to be in attendance. We want to bring back Buck pride through all of the great student athletes we have. Please wear your Buck blue. We hope you can make it to this event and provide support to our athletic programs and Buck spirit. Thank you.
Okay, so our first item of business tonight, and okay, perfect. Our first item of business tonight is a board resolution that we had discussed over the past few meetings. This one is for the naming of the training room. So whereas Michelle Wink was the athletic trainer for Oswego City School District for 20 years, she set the bar extremely high for the standards of her job. Her involvement with those around her went beyond taking exceptional care of Oswego and visiting teams. Michelle's open door policy and her caring heart for everyone made an enormous impact on the student population. Whereas Michelle's work ethic and abilities earned her the respect of her peers and others in the medical field. She was inducted into the Oswego Sports Hall of Fame and was named New York State Women of Distinction by Senator Patty Ritchie. Whereas Michelle was so much more than an athletic trainer, she was a great role model, educator, counselor, mother figure, and ambassador. She represented the Oswego City School District and the community in the best manner and always with a smile. Whereas the Oswego City School District community would like the Oswego High School training and weight room to be named in honor of Michelle Wink. Therefore, be it resolved that the training and weight room at the Oswego High School be named the, quote, Michelle Wink Athletic Training Facility, unquote. Therefore, be it further resolved that facilities, in consultation with the interim superintendent and/or his designee, and the facilities committee determine signage and its placement. Can I have a motion?
Move it.
Thank you, Pam. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any discussion? I would like to thank Sean for your work on this motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Next, we have our superintendent's report.
That's a miracle in itself. Mine is, my part of this presentation is going to be very brief, as we have three presentations tonight by colleagues of mine. But I did want to briefly share, obviously today we've been dealing with an air quality emergency. I did send out a parent square earlier today. We're trying to get another one out later today because the current warning is now expected, it was originally expected to end at midnight this evening, but all of the information we're receiving is that it will probably last through tomorrow, will be extended. We'll see what the morning holds, but that's the expectation. So if that happens, we will probably have a similar plan in place to what we had today, which was indoor recess, indoor PE, and we'll let our athletic director make decisions about any athletic contests depending on where they are in the state and what our situation is here on campus. Obviously, we have to make sure that everybody is safe. That's what we plan tomorrow. There are some field trips planned for tomorrow, and we're in the midst of just one. Okay. There is one field trip tomorrow, and we are in the process of making a decision about that, although most of those decisions are in actuality being made for us because lots of places are canceling their events and not opening their parks, et cetera, because of this. So we may not have any say in it at the end of the day anyway. And I just wanted to mention quickly that the last week of school, as this board knows, the calendar was approved by the Board of Education for the 22-23 school year. The only change that we made, that was made this year to that calendar, other than obviously emergency closing days, was the day before Memorial Day. No other changes were made. And if you look at that calendar, you'll see that on both the first day and the last day of school, they are listed as full days of school for students and staff. We have modified that to be just a half day with students on the last day of school and the afternoon just for staff. That will meet our requirements in New York State, and we think that is a better option for us. I just want to be clear on that because there was some confusion as to whether or not there was a calendar, a district approved calendar out there that said that there wasn't school on the 23rd, and there was no such calendar provided by the district. So the district calendar has always stated that there would be a full day of school on the 23rd, and this just changes that to be a half day for students. Staff will still be here full day. I told you I'd be brief because we have three presentations tonight, starting with our Special Education District Plan, which will be presented by our Executive Director of Special Education and Student Services, Lisa Carter.
Good evening. Thank you so much. So this district plan is really required by New York State Education Department to be reviewed and revised every 3 years. Doesn't mean that revisions haven't happened along the way, but it's a revision every 3 years. And so these are the core elements within the plan: the description and scope of programs and services, the identification of number of students and age span of students supported in recommended settings. I will say that that changes literally day by day, so it's a evolving process. Our method of evaluating our program objectives, the board policies, which are all in our policy manual, they're just listed out in that plan. The description of instructional materials and alternative formats, that's another one of our board policies. And then finally, the estimated budget, which is part of the budget that you've received previously. If you could switch it for me, thank you. So a couple of highlights from the plan, just to bring to your attention, 520 of our 615 students, so 84.5% of our children are educated primarily in general education settings, 80% or more of the day. That's huge. State threshold is 58.5%, so we far exceed that. So some might ask, well, how do you do it? We have amazing staff. We're very fortunate and amazing teaching assistants supporting our teachers and special education teachers, general education and special education teachers. But on top of that, we are really monitoring those programs and our success by a variety of data sources. So we use state performance indicators. There's 14 of them that we report every year. We use our district benchmarks, progress towards IEP goals, state assessment performance, which rolls into some of our district bench or our indicator data because the state, it's all one. As well as our progress towards graduation and the career development occupational standards, so the CDOS credential that high school students can achieve based on some coursework. Exciting to share with you that in looking at, and the data for the state is a year behind, so the 21-22 data is out right now. Our proficiency rates are a little bit lower than we'd like to see them. However, our proficiency gap between general education and special education students really meets the state threshold in grade 4 ELA, grade 4 math, grade 8 ELA, and grade 8 math. Our English language arts at the high school level did not have enough students to test to make a cohort in special education. So sometimes numbers aren't there because there's not enough children. The only area that we were disproportionate, if you will, is math at the high school level. So it's something that we're paying attention to and working with the high school team on and really looking at that. We want to achieve all of our, increase all of our performance, of course. But that was kind of exciting that the proficiency gap is not, it is within state thresholds. We do have work to do curriculum-wise. These right here are the continuum of services that we offer. So all of our schools have the related services. That might be the speech, OT, PT, counseling, any of those related services. Some of our students have vision services or audiological services. Those are offered in every building. Integrated co-teaching is a support that is not mandated by New York State. That continuum piece is the only part not mandated by New York State. We have selected that model for our elementary schools. So you will see all of our elementary schools, that's actually inaccurate, my apologies. 4 out of 5 elementary schools have 2 hours of integrated co-teaching. And the full day program is at Minetto, and those students are students who in many other spaces would actually be in self-contained settings. Minetto team has received some pretty specialized training to support some learners with some significant needs right within the building. The high school level, all schools also have resource, my apologies. At the high school and middle school level, we also have 15-to-1 classes and 12-to-1 classes. 12-on-1 classes are students that are alternatively assessed, and 15-to-1 classes are a smaller class size with more prioritized standards. We also, to balance out our continuum, utilize BOCES for some special class needs. And so some have asked why we don't have special classes, behavior programs here in the district. We've tried that a few times. Quite candidly, it hasn't been very successful for us. We don't have a lot of students that fall within the required 3-year age range, and partnering with BOCES, who has more specialized training, more supports right on hands, really made more sense for our students rather than a class of 2 kids. So for fiscal responsibility purposes, as well as student need purposes, it made sense to kind of go that route. It is something we look at every year across the board. Oh, that's a busy slide. So this just breaks down for you the number of students in each building that have different services. You will see that that's going to be way more than 615 children, and that's because some students will have a combination of different services. So we have a lot of kids that have speech services. They might also have integrated co-teaching. We have some students who might have speech and a 15-to-1 class. They're all so there's duplications in there because that's the nature of that. But this is that breakdown. These are just our data charts in terms of preschool. This is where we are recently, 85 students, and this was as of Beds Day, so that's that October 3rd or 5th day of 2022. You can see we're trending up at preschool across the board. The past couple of years, COVID really hurt some preschool kiddos, and they really have some specific needs. So it is something we're working partnership with the county on to really see how we can support our preschoolers before they enter school age, because then we can not have them identified as school age students if they don't need services. And then the next slide, you can see our special education numbers took a dip, but they are on the trajectory back up. So they are 615 again as of Beds Day. And I've shared with Cabinet, even since that day, that number is higher, just based upon the needs of our students in front of us. Yeah, October's a long time. That's like a whole school year ago at this point. Right. So it's hard when you're pulling this data together because you want to pull the cleanest data, but then you know that things change. So Beds Day seemed to be the right point in time to use. Okay, and this right here just shows you a breakdown of each building, how many students are in the building for students with disabilities. This is school age information. So preschoolers are covered through the county. They might attend universal pre-K or another program, but this is school age. How many special education teachers are assigned to the building, speech language pathologists or therapists, psychologists, and then guidance counselors and social workers. Questions I can answer for you?
Just to be clear,
Yes.
there will be, the board will need to approve the plan
Correct.
at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, we'll include the whole 40-page plan. It's lengthy. I pulled out the highlights for you. The plan itself will completely break down, even by disability. I didn't want to bore you with all those details. Not that they're boring, they're exciting to me. But it does break down, like, based on like school-age children with learning disability receiving services on October 5th. And it goes classification by classification. There's 13 classifications, which makes this a very lengthy plan. So it does break it down with the state information for you.
One question. Were the social workers and the behaviorists that we approved in the budget considered in those numbers, or would they not be considered there?
So we have the counseling staff are in, counseling staff are in there. We have one behavior coach in the district. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Our next presentation is, I'm going to introduce Mr. Ryan Lanigan, our high school principal.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here this evening. I want to bring up Amy Rappin, our family consumer science teacher, and soon to hopefully be work-based learning coordinator. So our district strategic plan talks about community relationships, community partnerships, and we have continuously at the high school and our school improvement plan have looked for opportunities for us to partner and to grow our programs and to meet the needs of our diverse learning population. So we have an exciting opportunity today. I want to thank Mrs. Codwell for her support in this and our partners with SUNY Oswego. Mrs. Furlong's with us this evening. We're very excited to present this to you and hopefully can move forward with this. Career-based learning at OHS. So as we've been exploring these partnerships, we are looking for an opportunity to meet our need here to help our students to gain more real-world experience and to meet the college's need at filling some workforce gaps. And so we have a proposal here. So tonight we're just going to go over the goals, the outline, the partnership, and what the benefits are for our students, our school district, and for the college. Sorry, the university, that's right. Thank you, yeah, no, we're good. Old habits die hard. So, yes, for the university. So, once upon a time, Career Development and Occupational Studies, CDOS, was something that was put in place to support our students with disabilities. The state of New York has helped us grow that opportunity, and it really became something that all students could benefit from. And looking at graduation pathways, career-based CDOS credential, so to graduate from high school, you need 4+1, so 4 Regents exams plus a 5th, whether that's another Regents exam, a CTE, technical endorsement, a CDOS credential. So we looked at this opportunity that if we could expand and build a work-based learning, or you'll hear us tonight talk about a career-based learning program, this will allow students who maybe don't traditionally do all that well on those Regents exams, get that opportunity to get that 5th marker. So it's a certified experience for our students. It will really help our students develop and experience a real-world process. So, and I won't get into the nuts and bolts, but they will get an opportunity to go out to SUNY Oswego and to work in different areas there and grow their passions and learn about different career strands and what they might be interested in. It works in a connection with our high school curriculum, so there's courses that we'll be bringing to the board, not this meeting, but at the next meeting, hopefully. And really, it's going to help our students kind of understand what the labor market is, and this is a great gateway program in partnership with SUNY to start to work looking at where we can make those connections with our community to build career-based learning. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Ms. Rappin and let her continue from here. Oh, I do have one more slide. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, you did. So in our research, what we had found, New York City had conducted a pilot of this type of a program, and on the website heretohere.org, they shared some data, and I thought it was interesting. If you look at this, that 81% of high school dropouts would have potentially stayed in school with a CTE option. So if we think about, again, one of our major strategic planning goals was to reduce dropout rate, this is one of those things that's meeting that need. And you can see that 93% graduation rate for students involved in CTE compared to 80% of non-CTE graduates. And then look at the potential career earnings of a student that participated in CTE versus just earning a general high school diploma. So you can see that's quite a bit of financial gain. And therefore, you know, when you look at that data and you think about us engaging students and keeping them here in school, we thought that this was a great opportunity. All right, now, Mr. Rappin, I'll turn it over. Thank you for that.
Good evening. Thanks for sharing your meeting. So career-based learning for our bucks, how is this going to work? I don't know who has the, okay. Thank you. Just to give you the vocab, because I'm a teacher. So the umbrella term is work-based learning by the state. Those are the state terms. It's used to define these collaborative activities for students, how schools engage employers and industry, and what focus is there for our students to develop their path for post-secondary. So that being the umbrella term, and as you know in academics we like to change the terms up. Next slide, please. We're going to change the name to be career-based learning, because work-based learning can sometimes have that negative, the grind of work, and so we're taking that out of the equation was our thought, and we want our bucks to be bigger thinkers. So we're saying career-based learning, where do you want to go? What direction are you headed? So we decided to kind of rebrand that, not change the program, we'll still follow the rules, of course, but just the branding of it to career-based learning. And so within that bigger thinking, we also will develop foundational skills, try to support and encourage a growth mindset so that all those things that we want for our kids to have, mine included. Next slide. So why it works, Ryan gave you some data of why that works, but this is a quote from Jobs for the Future, which is in their 40th year. They are another not-for-profit that goes between employers and placing kids in high schools, and basically career-based learning solves a problem that many job seekers face. It's hard to get a job without previous work experience, and it's hard to get work experience without a job. So Job for the Futures. And our bucks will be direct beneficiaries of this. And I had this conversation twice today with 2 different 17-year-olds that are facing this problem. So we didn't plan that. This is just the framework from the state, CTE, New York State Department of Education, where they say from birth, kids should be starting from birth. But with books and reading and all of those things that are out there marketed to kids, career awareness and then exploration and career development is where you would see our work-based learning or career-based learning program would be in that framework. So how can our kids achieve these results? Well, Ryan already said this, but I'll say it again with the State University of Oswego and our city school district in partnership. The benefits for our students is that they get feet on the ground at the university in an authentic work experience setting. They can, it's going to foster career awareness, and their feet on campus, they can see what that option might look like for them. They're going to gain professional skills, and those are the skills that every employer wants. They want those professional skills or soft skills, you'll hear them say, that's kind of phasing out. And those are the things that kids need, and they can, you know, from the time they start their first lemonade stand, right? Some kids are better at that than others, and those are the skills that they need to practice. So this gives them that opportunity. They'll be engaged in different occupations and industries that align with their goals too. It deepens their commitment to their academics here. It makes them a more motivated student. They earn credit, and in their senior year, they can earn income. So they love that part. How's it going to benefit SUNY? Well, SUNY gets our kids and a diverse workforce. They get to develop the strategy. They fill that gap or that pipeline. Maybe they have longer kids on campus, stay for a long time. Maybe they go to school there, who knows? But they also can provide structure and support and training and really work with the kids to meet their needs as well. They collaborate with us for our focus on curriculum, and they're our biggest employer, right, in the county. So they are committed to the local climate, and if you work there as you're a professor or you work in the food service department, if this is their commitment to the community, it makes it a better place to work, right? People want to feel good about where they work. How does it benefit us? Well, it keeps our kids happy. We're innovative. We're getting behind them. It helps their career readiness. It helps graduation rates. It expands our CTE in alignment with new technologies, and there's such a demand for CTE. I think New York State, I just heard at a meeting that they added their 100th CTE program in the state this year in agriculture. That's a lot for 1 year. So there's a demand for it. It makes learning visible and meaningful, right? And it will foster bigger thinkers and innovators and have that growth mindset. So kids kind of break out of maybe the same thinking. How benefit for us too? We're going to set a trend. We're going to be trendsetters for CTE. That's the hope. And it gives our Bucks innovation and programming to meet that. This is just a graphic that I put together for kids when they're asking, should I do it? So we can skip over that, but it answers some of those. What will it look like? It'll be a certified New York State Department of Education in work-based learning, though we're going to call it career-based learning. We'll follow a general education work experience program, which has a whole lot of opportunity for us. It has to be managed by a certified work-based learning coordinator, which I am. So, junior year, they earn credit. It's not paid. Senior year, they earn credit. It is paid, and we go through, and this whole infographic shows, then we reach the end of this pilot, we have evaluation and assessment, we review our data, and we evaluate again and revise where we need to. So that's just, so again, junior year, they would take a course called Career-Based Learning 1. We couldn't get trickier than that. The focus is going to be on all the skills that they need to really step foot into a workplace environment. So financial literacy, labor laws, communication, their career plan is number one. Even if they're going to SUNY campus and what their work experience is not what they're going to end up doing, they're still going to develop that professional toolbox, right? They're still going to show up and be there on time and have to have a coherent conversation and resolve conflict and carry themselves with professionalism, and we need that everywhere, right? But again, they're going to have their toolbox filled with all the other things as well. Leadership skills, civic projects are going to be required in this course. Visits to campus are part of the requirement by the state, so I would need to visit them in their workplace. And they are going to be assigned mentors in the job at SUNY Oswego, which they're used to because they work with, college students. Let me think that's it. Next slide, please. Yeah. So for the senior year, since they've had all that work in progress in junior year, they'll spend half their day on campus, really actively working. After they've honed all those skills, we would provide transportation. Again, they're supervised on campus by mentors, as well as the work-based learning coordinator for the high school. We have to keep copious records of weekly time logs and scheduled visits, and they also have to cycle through in the senior year with a class, and that class focus then is on what's going on in the workplace, how are you meeting the needs of your employer, what problems are you having, let's talk about that, and we hone those skills for lifetime success. They earn credit and they earn a paycheck this year, which is great. So career-based learning, in our opinion, is a way for our kids to open doors to their future. So that's it.
Any questions?
Any questions? Great.
Well, I think it's a good idea. Actually, obviously, I go there for New Vision, and I think it's a great opportunity because we get the chance to interact with college students who are already there, so we understand what it's like being in that environment. And I think being on a campus, there's a lot of freedom that we don't get being here, because here there's a strict schedule and we have to be certain places at certain times. But there you're truly treated like an adult, so you get to do things that you don't get the opportunity to here. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of students, and I think it's an opportunity that opens doors to students who might not be able to get in more advanced programs.
Thank you.
I just want to point out, SUNY Oswego students also have to be to their classes on time as well. They may wander in late, but they're supposed to be there on time. Yeah, no, that sounds like a wonderful program. And so actually, my one question was, will students, like, I don't know, Vicky, like, have we set a number of students, or will students be able to opt into it? Like, do we already know how many students might be interested?
So I think originally we'll set a pilot so that we can understand and make sure that we're providing the clinically rich experience to our students from the high school, and make sure we have identified the proper mentors for them. But I think as we work closely with the high school to understand what areas students may be more interested in, then we'll start to develop and kind of branch out, if you will. I've already spoken with some of my colleagues, particularly in the IT department, about, shepherding this process with some students from the high school that have some interest in maybe technology or help desk work or, things like that. So originally, I think we're going to keep it small just so that we can understand and make sure that we're ensuring that we're meeting the requirements and the students are meeting the requirements. But as you know, the sky's the limit, I think, when we really get deep into this, because I think it's an important piece to connect both the university and the high school.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. We have one more presentation, and I need to clarify this. This is the facilities use presentation. Nancy Squires, our Executive Director of Business and Finance, is at the annual state conference. So the short straw went to Amanda Caldwell.
I missed the last meeting, and this is what happens when you miss the last meeting.
You snooze, you lose. So she's going to be presenting this, but I want to be clear that she's probably not going to be answering a lot of questions, but what we were hoping to do is get this information to you tonight, and then maybe we could have, rather than asking her questions, maybe we could generate questions that we want to make sure Nancy answers for you, and I will get those out in our weekly communication, as this would be something that would need to be approved at the next meeting. Okay?
Okay. So as Jeff said, I am not our business executive, even though I'm playing one on TV tonight. So bear with me. Nancy and I did review this information, and I know David actually participated in the committee that reviewed the facilities use agreements and fee schedule. So we do have a couple of representatives here tonight. But essentially, the presentation is going to go through the history of the facilities use fee schedule and conversations about facilities use, and then get into the committee work. So historically, before the new stadium was constructed, the previous board had looked into the facilities use process, but with the construction of the new stadium, that facilities use conversation came to a halt. Then returned to the table for discussion in August of 2022 when the board approved the facilities use fee and schedule for Oswego. Shortly thereafter, the district purchased the master library schedule platform to schedule and track facilities use in the district, and implemented the software that following fall. Additionally, our legal team was asked to review the facilities use and fee schedule as it was written. I think earlier this year, the board requested a review of the facilities use fee schedule specifically, but the committee, when it came together, did actually discuss a couple of topics in addition to the fee schedule. These are the members of the committee who met 4 times over the course of February to May of 2023. The committee had 4 goals in mind: to review outside agency agreements, to classify different requesting groups who are asking to use our facilities, to review the fee schedule, and then also to discuss safety concerns and risk transfer, AKA insurance, and what insurance groups need. So essentially, I'm inferring that the committee discussed sort of one goal or one topic for each of the 4 meetings that were held. One committee agenda item was on the reciprocal agreements that we have with external agencies. I think some, if not all of them, have been sent out by our athletic director, and we are waiting for the return of those to the district so that they can be brought forward to the board for approval. But this is an example of some of the groups that we have reciprocal agreements with. Another goal that the committee discussed was the classification of different groups who request to use our facilities. These are, I asked Nancy if this was a rank order in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They sort of read as rank order, although she did indicate, with the exception of district groups, the rest of the requesters are on a first-come, first-served basis. So Class 1 are our district groups, including athletic teams, in-season, band, homeschool association, et cetera. Class 2, government entities, including local, state, or federal agencies. Class 3, not-for-profit groups that do not charge a fee, and Class 4, not-for-profit groups that do charge a fee. And then Class 5 being private groups, including community, business, or profit organizations. And the last item that was discussed by the committee was insurance and our safety and risk concerns with our facilities use. The group clarified that district groups are not required to have a certificate insurance. They're the only group excluded from needing insurance. That includes our homeschool associations who need their own insurance certificate when they use our facilities. All other classifications do require their own insurance certificate. And this does include coaches who are working with students outside of the sports season for which they have been board appointed, or who are working with groups or running camps outside of their role for which they were board appointed. Those folks need to have their own insurance. And then lastly, the committee reviewed the actual fee schedule itself and identified fees that would be levied for groups on a per event or per hour basis, depending on which facilities they're requesting to use and in the duration of the event. So as Jeff said, I am happy to write down any questions that you might have, but I probably cannot answer them.
Questions?
So I guess my only question is, so as you mentioned at the beginning in history, we brought this up, and this board in September of last year, 2022, voted on the policy. It was then a few people from the community came forth and asked us to kind of look at it. They had some concerns about it. So we put together this committee to analyze it. Are there any recommended changes? So this is all great information. I'm just wondering if the committee decided that there should be any recommended changes. That's my only question.
Dave can answer that.
And I do think that the main thing is putting everybody in the class they belong in, because they weren't always in the right class as far as if they need their own insurance, if they don't. And so we looked at that, and I know Nancy called legal too on that.
So my question may be similar to that is, are there differential rates by class? you don't have to answer that right now. We can ask it to Nancy, but I think that was one of the things we'd talked about. And then I would just note the name change from synthetic turf multipurpose field to Wilbur Field. Thank you.
So I guess so not as much of a question as a request. If there have been some reclassifications, then I'm imagining there is going to be an update to our official document that will approve possibly next board meeting. That's why discuss this board meeting, approve next board meeting. In a transmittal, could we please get a copy of that with the changes highlighted so that we can see what those are? Thank you.
Where does groups like the Oswego Lacrosse Club, Pop Warner, Oswego Youth Basketball, where do they all fit in? I'd like to know what class they are in. Because there's sports that are feeder programs, legitimately feeder programs, that this district doesn't recognize as feeder programs right now, and that's sad.
Nancy did say, I believe, that she could provide the board with a full list of different organizations in each category. I'm looking for the notes that I took when she and I met.
She does have that.
She's got the full list, right? Yes, so she can provide that.
Thank you, Amanda.
That's the end of my report.
Okay. Okay. Next up, we have the consent agenda. So this includes the Special Education Board Report of June 20th. Oh, yeah, May 20th? Okay. Oh, you were working ahead to next meeting. Okay. Minutes from the budget public hearing and regular meeting of May 2nd, minutes from the regular board meeting of May 16th, and minutes from the special meeting on May 17th, and minutes from the special meeting on May 24th. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next up, we have personnel. Bob?
Good evening, everyone. On the personnel, under item A, we do have a retirement. So I'd like to recognize Rachel Porter. She's a school counselor at the high school. She'll be retiring effective November 24th, 2023. So item A as presented.
Is there a motion for item A as presented?
Move the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. Item B, we have a support staff, a couple of retirements there. I'd like to recognize, the first one is Mary Haynes. She's a school bus driver, and she has been a school bus driver since November 8th, 2000. And our second retiree is Teresa Sorrento. Teresa's a teacher aide at Layton School, and she's been a teacher aide since February 5th, 1997. So both of those, item B as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for B?
Move the motion.
Pam, second?
I'll second.
Or any discussion?
No, I'd just like to say thank you again for the time that they've put in both, and also the retirement of Rachel, also for everyone. That's a lot of years of service, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your retirement.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay. Our next grouping is items C through G, our professional staff recommendations as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for C through G?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll second.
And Jim, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, our next grouping is items H through K, which are support staff recommendations as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for H through K?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Last grouping is items L through S, which are substitutes, temporary positions, extra compensatory positions, and our extended school year and summer school positions, all of those L through S as presented.
Okay, is there a motion for L through S as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tom. Jim, I'll have you as a second. Sure. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Sounds like it was a busy few weeks. Okay, Nancy is at that conference, so we don't have anything from finance today. Student representative, Maura, do you have anything?
Okay, so OHS just had their top 100 ceremony, so congratulations to everybody involved in that. We also just had our awards ceremony last night and our merit ceremony yesterday during the school day, so congratulations to anybody who won those as well. Spring sports are wrapping up for both schools, middle school and high school, so congratulations to anybody who did a spring sport. Those who are finishing their spring sports for their final season, good luck to you, and those who are just beginning, you have a lot ahead of you, so good luck with those. There's a senior field trip this Thursday to Seabreeze, and the senior walkthrough through all their schools is on Friday. The 8th graders went on their tours on Thursday. They came around the school and they got to have little meetings with a lot of different teachers. So that was a cool experience for them. And OHS's last full week is this week. So good luck to any students who have finals or regents in the following weeks.
Okay, items from the board.
I have a couple. Maura did a lot for me, thank you. I did, at our last meeting, asked about how many teams were our scholar athlete teams, and I did get that. We all got that in transmittal. But I did do the math, and 25 of 29 athletic teams are scholar athlete teams. So, good job, you guys. Keep up the great work. Also, I just looked at the shopper, and the boys and girls track teams did very well in the Section 3 meets. Maureen O'Fenty won the triple jump and placed second in the 100-meter dash and second in the long jump. As the Oswego boys placed third in the 4x800-meter relay. They were fourth in the 4x100-meter relay, and they also placed fourth in the 4x400. There are some individuals, it doesn't have his, Kelwin Reyes finished fourth in the 400-meter hurdles, and Danielle Dunn was fifth in the 1,600 meters and fifth in the 800 meters. Adam Jaskula placed sixth in the 110-meter high hurdles, and Kieran Carter took sixth in the 400-meter in the dash. In the girls, Tegan Roy placed fifth in the pentathlon. Whew, good for her. She got a lot of energy, that one then. And the Buck girls took second in the 4x800-meter relay, and they were fourth in the 400-meter, Tatum Wincheck was fourth in the 400-meter hurdles, and second in the 200-meter steeplechase. And her teammate, Caitlin Donahue, was fifth in the steeplechase also. Annie Niger finished second in the 800 meters, and Audrey Donovan placed fifth in the 800 meters. And Riley King was second in the discus and third in the shot put. The girls were fourth in the 4x400-meter relay and sixth in the 4x100-meter relay. So a round of applause to our track team for how well they did in the Section 3. I would read every team if they were all in the shopper. So this is the one that hit the paper this week. Congratulations to all of our athletes. Whether they're starting out or finishing their careers, they have done very well for the Oswego Buccaneers this year. So congrats. And have fun your last full week of school, you guys.
I just want to actually keep on our radar screen the volunteer firefighter tax, not abatement, but reduction. I can't think of the word. So I was reading some things that have come from some of the other districts about it, and I believe the county is moving on it as well. And the one thing I just want to put on everybody's radar screen, because I'm imagining this is going to come up when I'm no longer on the board, that to make sure that it's the volunteer firefighters should be like certifying, like not only are people registered as volunteer firefighters, but they're also active and going on calls. So I know that there were a number of other criteria that they had put in it, but the timeline on this, because it's an extended timeline because we couldn't get it done before, I think we saw it February 28th, and it had to be done by March 1st. But as we all know, time goes very quickly. The meetings pass very quickly. So I would recommend taking that up in the fall, early in the fall, if we want to do it. And this way it'll be ready to go in time so that people know about it for the deadline, the legal deadline in March. Any other items from the board?
I had just one more thing, or actually two things. I just wanted to say to Mr. Lanigan and everyone involved with that program, thank you very much, and reiterate how it feeds into the strategic plan. You know, so it's a big part of it, an integral part, so thank you very much for that work. I know we also talked about the naming committee, and we wanted to get that on the schedule, and we talked about Sean joining facilities for that. The one thing we'll have to do is one person will have to recuse for a meeting, otherwise we would violate open meetings with 4 members. So I just did want to get that in, want that to slip away. If we need to either get that on the agenda to set it for next time, or if we just want to get the facilities together and talk about that and how we want to proceed from here. But I didn't want that to slip away.
Who normally calls the facilities committee?
We're generally on a regular call right now. We don't have anything outside of that. Regular call every 2 weeks dealing with the capital project. But we need to organize probably a quarterly call for that committee outside of the capital project.
Right,
So-
yeah, or have an agenda item of other possibilities, because there's other facilities.
Correct.
Issues, I would imagine.
That we need to look at
Right.
in toto.
So if I may, excuse turn that off first. As a possible solution, we have one more meeting on June 20th, I think it is, right? Okay. So we just kick that can for now. And then Sean, if you're really interested in being a part of that, you can volunteer to be on the next facilities committee, right? And that may solve that problem right there.
That works. Gets me off the audit one.
You can be on 2 committees, but noted.
As a matter of fact, I think we were supposed to be on 2.
Okay, any other items from the board?
I just wanted to say, in addition to what I said earlier about the college opportunities with your new program, I also think the employment opportunities are going to be a good thing. And the fact that students get to experience jobs, because when you're a high school student, it can be hard to know what you want to go to college for and know what you want to do. So it definitely is a great opportunity to get to experience those things and have your foot in the door for what you know you want to do. So.
I just wanted to say, last Saturday, I went up to the art show at the college, and the talent was crazy of what's up there. I mean, the whole place was filled with a lot of people. I believe it's Ashley Escascia kind of ran the talent part after and did a wonderful job. And from a guy that can do stickmen, and that's about it, I was amazed at the talent that's in this district. So congratulations to the art department.
So I'll back that up because I've been to the art shows every year for probably about 10 years now. And this is the first time that it's been at the university in Tyler, and they have, I mean, it's a theater and art building. They have a gallery set up. No knock to our cafeteria, it's a wonderful cafeteria. But I think having that setting on campus for that event was absolutely wonderful. John McConnell came and played. There was an open mic aspect to it. And it just happened that Studio C had their recital in the first floor. So there were so many people there. I showed up, it started at 1, I showed up at 2 o'clock. There had to be 300 cars in the parking lot. So that's the kind of community engagement I think we've all been thinking and talking about. So whomever's planning that next year, I don't know why it was moved, but great move. Keep that up.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to move to executive session to discuss personnel matters.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Tom. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, it is 5:55. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. No need for a vote.